Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wake Up. My name is Spencer Walsh. We're back today. Feels good to be back on the show today. We are covering a dispute that's arising, very interesting, between the Attorney General and some of Robert Mueller's investigators, the return of measles, and a report on the gruesome state of Alabama's prisons. Not good, folks. Don't want to see that. But first, we got to talk about this breaking news now that Ethiopian officials today are calling for a review of the Boeing MAX 8 controls and said pilots involved in a fatal crash last month had in fact followed procedures, suggesting that was much more the plane that was the problem behind the fatal fall of this kind of very, very rough issue that took place in this past this very, very rough crash that took place last month. So yeah, that's what they have been able to determine now based on reviewing, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the plane next. It's definitely not good news for Boeing now that they find that pretty much their plane is at fault and the pilots involved had in fact followed procedures. So alright, yeah, some members of the special counsel's team have said that Attorney General William Barr didn't adequately portray their findings. And this is a pretty big new report here from the New York Times, because it pretty much lends credence to the idea, frankly, that that a lot of people in the media, a lot of the pro-Mueller people, and the very pro-Russiagate people have been pushing for quite a long time, including people like Rachel Maddow, all those people who have been covering this to a pretty much ad infinitum, and they now have this very interesting story here in the New York Times to kind of back up their point of view here. As many people would say, Mueller would never let Barr misrepresent it, but apparently he understated the report to a larger degree. I mean, did he misrepresent the essential conclusions? I don't know. And does anything else matter? I mean, really, who knows? But it'll be interesting to look at. So, yeah, here's what they said. Apparently, that these people in the special counsel's team said that they were more troubling for Trump than Mr. Barr has indicated, according to government officials and officials familiar with the matter. So, yeah, again, there are multiple times that New York Times and others have gotten stories like this wrong because they have not thoroughly gone over their sources and thought, hey, where is this coming from? What are these people? What are the motives these people have in sharing this? We should kind of dig a little bit deeper on this. But if this is accurate, it would be very, very interesting. Yes, because at stake in the dispute, the first evidence of tension between Barr and the special counsel's office here is who shapes the public initial understanding of the most consequential government investigations in American history. Some members of Mueller's team are concerned that because Barr created the first narrative of the special counsel's findings, Americans' views will have hardened before the investigation's conclusions become public. And there's pretty much more important information here at this point. This is their view on the matter. Barr has said he will move quickly to release the nearly 400-page report, but needs time to scrub out all the confidential information. The special counsel's investigation has already written multiple summaries of the report, and some members believe that's interesting here. They written multiple summaries of the report, and some team members believe that Barr should have included more of their material in the 4-page letter he wrote in March 24th, laying out the main conclusions of the investigation, according to government officials familiar with the investigation. Apparently, Barr only briefly said the special counsel's work in his letter. So, well, he did, actually. We know that. But only like 62 words from a 400-plus page report was really what drew some of the questions here, and it's kind of been rising skepticism from some of the media that's been covering this to a large degree ever since, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are kind of crossing their fingers now. There is some sort of hope, but again, just I would caution anyone who's like, oh, maybe this could mean Trump's going to get a bit of bad news dealt his way. We'll see. Well, no, I would not get anyone's hopes up on this, because more often than not, the Mueller investigation is going to leave people who hoped for the Manchurian candidate option just a little bit disappointed. So it's going to be a very important thing that you have to take into consideration, I would say. So, but it is interesting that the special counsel investigators have written multiple summaries of the report, though. However, the special counsel's office has never asked Barr to release the summary soon after he received the report. A person familiar with the investigation said, and the Justice Department quickly determined the summaries contain sensitive information, just like classified material, secret grand jury testimony, information related to current federal investigations that must remain confidential, according to two government officials. So apparently that they didn't want to release because those extra summaries that, probably a lot of these media people would have trusted way more than anything that William Barr wrote, because it came straight almost from the mouth of the sainted one, Robert Mueller. So that would be very interesting. But yeah, this is definitely a space to watch here, because what I want to know is how are they going to really try and handle this. At the same time, Barr and his advisors have expressed their own frustrations about Mr. Mueller and his team. Barr and other Justice Department officials believe that special counsel investigators fell short on their task by declining to decide whether Trump illegally obstructed the inquiry, according to two government officials. And I think they have a point there. Dude, you have how many years on this and you couldn't come up with an answer? Just come on, really? It seems to be a little ridiculous and kind of annoying that he didn't put this issue to rest. Because that's the reason why you're there. You're there to put that issue to rest. It's your responsibility, and the fact that you weren't able to do this is just a little bit disturbing. Who else is going to be able to do it? So that is who else is going to do it? Well, who else is going to do it? Representatives for the Justice Department and special counsel declined to comment on Wednesday on views inside both the special counsel and the Justice Department. No surprise. They pointed to departmental regulations requiring Mueller to file a confidential report detailing prosecution decisions, and to Barr's separate vow to send a redacted version of that report to Congress. So that's what they're going to hold fast to at this point. So, all right. Yeah. The dispute is, again, the first evidence detention, pretty big deal. But, on the other hand, just a little side note, the Democratic chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee formally requested the IRS provide 6 years of Trump's personal and business tax returns. So that could be very interesting to watch in the future. That we have, tensions possibly in the Mueller report, but hey, tax returns could be coming, and everyone's already said the financial crimes are the biggest problem. So it'll be interesting to see what we may find in there. So on that note, not something like to see make a comeback here. Measles back in business, apparently. Public health officials thought they had the disease under control. The UN intensified vaccination efforts in 2001, and cases plunged nearly 80% worldwide from 2000 to 2016. But 2 years ago, the number of cases began rising even in countries where it had been vanquished. The biggest factor in the increase was poverty. According to the World Health Organization, just a kind of a sad state and commentary on our world today almost. About 95% of the population must be immune to stop measles. About 95% of the population of any population must be immune to stop measles from spreading, but the medical systems of many countries are too weak to vaccinate enough children every year. Outbreaks in places such as Indonesia, Madagascar, and Venezuela have revealed shortcomings in the vaccination effort and have eroded confidence in what is considered to be a public health achievement, which really, really sucks. And guys, let's be honest here. This is not the only place where it's happening. There's some real problems, again, even in places that are much more close to home, and that's why we really need to, again, think about the way our healthcare system, at least, works today, and the way our healthcare system is it truly serving people? I think it's a question we need to really start asking ourselves, at least to some degree. So, so the state has one of the highest incarceration rates in the U.S. That's right, I'm talking about Alabama, folks. And the prisoners in its overcrowded and understaffed correctional system endure some of the highest rates of homicide and rape. A report issued by the Justice Department on Wednesday described a high level of violence in the that is too common, cruel, of an unusual nature, and pervasive, and said the state was, quote, deliberately indifferent and failed to correct known systematic deficiencies. State officials responded and addressed issues that said the report addressed issues Alabama was already aware of and are already working to fix. So, yeah. I mean, there were apparently the New York Times got 2,000 photos from inside a federal prison there in Alabama, and very few, they say, were suitable for publication, but they offered a rare glimpse of some of the life there. That's again from the New York Times there. But New York has embraced the idea of congestion pricing, as we move on, in which drivers will be charged to enter the busiest parts of Manhattan. If adopted more widely, it could change the way Americans look at infrastructure. The deeply embedded cultural idea of an open road obscures the fact the government was heavily subsidized driving and hides the reality of who pays for it. The roads hold such a special position in our brain that we use logic around them that we never use around anything else, said a professor of urban planning at University of California, Los Angeles. Various public groups are angling for exemptions before the policy does go into effect in 2021. So, you guys still have time if you live in New York and you want to drive. And I know, push for Green New Deal, lower those carbon emissions, because I think the bear the blame did not fall on kind of the individual person. And again, it's really not really to me where we should be looking. I like putting it on the people just trying to get to work. Like, there are plenty of people who are very much going to be driving in those streets who should not be paying those congestion taxes. Like little out of school, like people who live in New York City, Like, I mean, sure, there are plenty of people who probably work for companies that probably are contributing to climate change and should be paying some price on this. But, yeah, I mean, I really don't think this is probably the most progressive way to go about it, but still, it's probably going to be a reality. We see congestion prices already in places like London, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how New York, of all cities, responds to this. And maybe people will be encouraged a little bit to ditch their cars. So that's something. All right, so up next we got quick hits, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen. Quick hits on a Thursday. We start off with a more mindful, apparently, Joe Biden. Former Vice President said in a video released Wednesday he'd been more respectful of personal space after a woman said that how he touched them, multiple former women have said that how he touched them made them incredibly uncomfortable. Biden, who is expected to announce presidential run, acknowledged that social norms have begun to change and, quote, I get it. He gets it, folks. Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see if he actually does get it, but still, there's probably about 100 more examples of that. So, again, it's going to be a question a lot of people want to ask. The question really is, are there more serious stories of a little more than touching, a little more than just groping? Is going to be the important thing to realize. So, yeah, vulnerabilities have been exposed at Mar-a-Lago after the arrest of a Chinese woman carrying a malware-laced device that is exposed to the poor security at President Trump's Florida resort. Australia has passed sweeping legislation today that would, among other measures, result in jail time for executive social media companies that failed to rapidly remove abhorrent violent materials. That's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty direct. So jail time for the executives. That's not something that you'd see very often. Also, we got. Well, let's see what we got today. They're not too much. Yeah, there's. You know what, guys? Here's what we'll say.